In this video, we will go over the top homebuyer mistakes that you want to avoid that can end up costing you thousands of dollars and also jeopardizing your deal. Let's dive right into it. Hey everyone, my name is Moaeez Rehman. You can call me Mo if it's easier. I'm the team leader of the Moaeez Rehman real estate team, and we actively sell real estate across the Durham region and GTA. So the top and most common homebuyer mistake that I want you to avoid is not getting your pre-approval. Not getting your pre-approval is definitely a mistake, but beginning to look at homes before getting your pre-approval is even bigger mistake. The last thing you want to do is fall in love with a home that you will not qualify to purchase. To prevent that from happening, the first thing I recommend you do is speak to a qualified and licensed mortgage broker. You need to know what you can afford and what the payments would look like, and a good mortgage broker will help you understand that. I also want you to take into consideration what amount you're comfortable spending. It is possible that the bank might qualify you for an $800,000 purchase price. I want you to look at the monthly mortgage payments for that purchase price and see if you're comfortable carrying that forward. If that number is too high, then I want you to take a step back and look at $750,000 or $700,000 worth. Because you have more payments in addition to the monthly mortgage payments, you have to pay property tax, insurance, utilities. I want you to make sure that you don't overextend yourself. To get a correct and full mortgage pre-approval, you're required to have a list of documents. The first one is you have to have your employment letter. You also have to showcase your credit report, or you can ask the lender to pull your credit report, and they will also ask you for the last 3 pay stubs and the last 2 years worth of T4 generals. The next and most common mistake I want you to avoid when buying a home is hiring the incorrect realtor. This has been one of the most common mistakes I have seen come to my radar over the past 2 years. There are just shy of 50,000 realtors across the greater Toronto area. More than 50% of those realtors are part-time realtors. From the other 50% that are full-time realtors, only 3% help more than 3 to 5 families a year. The other 97% only do 1 deal a year. In consideration of those facts, I want you to take the time to interview your realtor. It is okay for you as a consumer to reach out to your realtor directly and say, hey, I'm looking for a realtor. I want to buy a home. I would like to interview you. Can you please share your presentation with me? A good realtor will already have their presentation ready. In addition to that, I want you to do a deep dive onto their social media. Look at their Google reviews, look at their Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, whichever you prefer, to see how active they are. The journey of home buying can be a minimum of 3 months, and it could take as long as a year depending on your criteria. If you end up hiring the wrong realtor for this duration, it just becomes a sour journey, and no one deserves that, especially not you as a home buyer. The next common mistake that I want you to avoid is not making an informed offer. A common home buying mistake is to let your emotions dictate the offer. I recommend that you only make an offer when you're ready to buy the property, and when determining what type of offer to make, I want you to refer to recent and relatable comps, relatable comparable data. Also be careful of sending what we call a lowball offer just to test the waters. The homeowner has probably lived there for many years and they have their emotions attached to the home. Every single homeowner believes that their house is better than everybody else's. Oftentimes in this situation, sellers will find a lowball offer offensive, and they will just refuse to work with you no matter what the situation is. I have seen home buyers lose out on the property they actually like because their first offer was a lowball, and then when they came with a revised offer, the seller just refused to work with them. Now, the purchase price is just one aspect of the offer. Speak with a realtor to see how you can improve the other aspects of your offer, such as deposit, closing date, conditions, and more. The next and most common mistake when buying a home is not hiring your own representation. In every real estate transaction, there is a seller, there is a buyer, and both parties have the ability to hire their own representation. It is in fact urged that each party hire their own representation. The seller's agent's only job and fiduciary duty is to represent the best interest of the seller. They are negotiating on behalf of the seller, and their job is to get the best offer for purchase price and contract terms in favor of the seller, not the buyer. The buyer's agent does the exact same job before the buyers. Their job is to get the best possible deal. Everything you share with your agent as a buyer is confidential. So they will do whatever they can to not only get you the best deal, but they also have an obligation to look for any issues that might impact your decision on buying the home, such as older windows, roof, stigmas, basement leaks, anything of that nature. In Ontario, it costs you nothing as a buyer to hire your own representation. So that being said, why would you not hire service, help, guidance for absolutely free? The next and most common homebuyer mistake that I see is not identifying any underlying issues with the home you're about to buy that may not be visible to the eye. This is a very common mistake that is made, especially in a busy real estate market. Nowadays, you're given 30 minutes if you're lucky to browse a property, and you have multiple properties to look at because bidding wars are beginning to make a comeback. In that time, you're only really able to see if the layout makes sense for you, if the finishes make sense for you, and you can try to look for a few major issues, but there's always certain things that may not be visible to the eye. To avoid this from happening, you want to invest in a professional home inspection. If you are unable to get a home inspection negotiated within your contract, which is normal in a seller's market, what you can do is still hire a home inspector at your expense to go through the property after closing to see if there's any issues that you might have missed and that you should begin to work on during your time of home ownership. The next common mistake you want to avoid when buying a home is not understanding the difference between wants and needs. It is totally normal for you to want the most perfect home when buying real estate. High ceilings, spotlights, granite kitchen countertop, hardwood flooring, all of that. But do you need that? Maybe what you need is a basement that can be rented out, which can help you carry the mortgage payments if things get bad. Maybe you need a third bedroom on the second floor for a nursery or a home office. Maybe those things are more important. It is important to make a T-chart to understand exactly what the wants are and what the needs are, and then to focus on trying to get as many of these needs off the checklist in the house you're about to buy, and then slowly bring in all the wants. The second last thing that we're going to go over today, which is beginning to be a more common mistake, is credit negligence. Before buying a home, you obtain a pre-approval. During that pre-approval, they do a credit check. The finance provided to you from the bank is contingent upon your credit score being the exact same or close to what it is right now on the time of closing. So let's say that you get a mortgage approval and then you buy a home. You have a 30-day closing, but before the closing of your home, you decide to go car shopping, and now your credit has been hit multiple times. Turns out that your credit score is now lower compared to when you got the pre-approval, and the bank does have the ability to retract the finance from you last moment because you were negligent with your credit, and it did not remain the same as to when you got the pre-approval done. So if you really need to go purchase something that involves credit checks, either do it before your pre-approval or be patient until after the closing of your home. And the last common homebuyer mistake that we're talking about today is not calculating your closing costs correctly. When buying a home, you're required to provide a down payment, but you're also required to have money saved up to cover the closing cost. The closing cost can vary depending on the purchase price and location of the property, but the closing cost is required by the purchaser cash on hand on closing date. Otherwise, the closing will not happen and you will be in a breach of contract. To avoid this from happening, what I highly recommend is that you use the online calculators on that website, or you do a consultation with your realtor to go over what the closing costs would be, what the land transfer tax is, how much is title insurance, what else do you need to have money saved up for in terms of miscellaneous expenses. Folks, there you have it, the most common homebuyer mistakes that I have seen during my time selling real estate, and now you can avoid avoid and stay clear of them when buying your home. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like icon. It helps me understand tremendously the type of content that you're enjoying. And to ensure that you don't miss any of my future content, you can subscribe to my page as well. Now, every single week, we take out time to do complimentary homebuyer consultations with you guys. If you're thinking about buying a home but you don't know where to begin, what mistakes to avoid, tips and tricks on how to secure the best deal, this complimentary consultation is for you, and it's done via Zoom virtually. To schedule your complimentary homebuyer consultation, you can find my email address in the description below. Reach out to me directly and I'll be sure to connect with you to schedule that call. See you in the next video. Signing out, Moaeez Rehman.